Hello, my name is Martin Eisenberg and I want to give a quick update on the LAZ format. We produce a lot of content in the LAS format. I don't have to tell you that. Look at the Dutch national LiDAR data set, 600 billion points. It's a lot of data. Compression is very useful. Most people use LAS zip. It was sponsored by the Army Corps of Engineers in 2010. It is open source, it has fast encoding, decoding, very high compression. It's very nice. And everybody's using it because it's open source and LGPL licensed. Details? Have a look at that video. It's integrated in pretty much every LiDAR software out there. There are a few still missing, but eventually. And everybody who distributes a lot of LAZ data, a lot of LiDAR data, uses the LAZ format. Most portals do. Now, compression isn't the only thing. Sometimes you need to access a particular area of interest. Then it's useful to have spatial indexing information, which allows you to only look at that part of the file where the points are that you need. For that, we have the tiny LAX files. They're very small and they basically tell you, for a given XY bounding box, where should you look in the file to find the points that are in that box. If you want to know more information, again, go on YouTube, look for LAZ index. So, suddenly comes LAZ 1.4. A significant change is ahead in the specification, meaning that all software slowly needs to be updated. That also means LAZ needs to be updated, because there are new point types which didn't exist before. This is an opportunity to integrate new features, since we need a new decompressor and a new compressor anyways. Features that I didn't think about 7 years ago when I designed the first academic version of LAZ. Already today we can compress LAZ 1.4 via the NOAA-sponsored compatibility mode. That's very useful because right now we can compress LAZ 1.4 with a simple trick. You recode the new point types as old point types and hide the new information in extra bytes. And then we just compress them as we used to. The decompressor now just decompresses like always, and if I have old software, they'll just think it's an older LAZ version and can pretty much read everything that matters to that older software. New software will then on the fly upgrade these old point types into new point types using the extra byte information. So that's pretty sweet. However, eventually we want a native extension. But there is no rush because we already can compress LAZ 1.4 today. So let's all get together and decide on all the features we want, and especially those features that may be very important to some that are not using LAZ today. So we want to have selective decompression. If I only need XYZ, why do I have to decompress RGB? Why do I have to load RGB from disk and decompress it? Or GPS timestamps, or intensities, if all I need is XYZ. And there are a lot of applications where this is the case. And also, the most common change in an LAZ in a compressed file will be flag changes and classification changes. So it would be useful if I could have a partial rewrite functionality in compressed format. And the spatial indexing I mentioned before, it would be nice to integrate that properly. And whatever you need. But you gotta tell us. Is there something that prevents you from using LAZ today? Now is the time to tell us so we can integrate that. LAZ and LAZ are not really standards. LAZ is the de facto standard. It's super successful. ASPRS is overseeing the process of the specification, but it's not the kind of process you expect from a real standard. So I suggest we make LAZ a real standard by reorganizing the current team that is overseeing it. LAZ, a lot of people say, oh, that's Martin's format. Well, it kind of is, but I try to be as open and as community-oriented about it as I can. I have an open, sort of voluntary consensus process that I subject myself to whenever I do a change, and I use a very transparent process in developing it. However, it would be good to make LAZ a real standard. In particular, we need proper technical documentation. The last question is, which organization should do that? I mentioned before, the current group is, no, they did a great job, and we should really be thankful because not every community has such a great exchange program. But now this incredible success has outgrown the current way things are being done. There's a lot of infighting going on. There's a lot of people wearing too many hats and taking a bit on too much authority in the process. So I think we should have a running under the banner of some organization, but have a proper standardization process overseeing the LAZ and the LAZ format. And finally, let's not create two practically identical compressed LAZ, 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 something formats where the only difference is that one is open and one is closed. Thank you very much.